All right, today we're going to talk about environment, atmospheric science, and air pollution. Some of you may think that air is mostly oxygen. That is not correct. Air is mostly nitrogen. 78% nitrogen, only 21% oxygen. But oxygen is the gas that we breathe in and need to go to our lungs and to provide oxygen in our blood. All right, let's talk about air pollution. Air pollution simply is material added to the atmosphere that can affect climate and harm organisms like us, plants, animals. There's natural sources of air pollution, like these three: dust, volcanoes, and fires. And also there's human-caused, man-made chemicals that we put into the air, like when we burn fossil fuels, like for our fireplace, or for burning leaves, or burning coal in order to run things, factories that we manufacture and build things. Those all put air pollution, or put chemicals in the air, causing air pollution. There's two types: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants are emitted into the troposphere in a directly harmful way. All right, like soot, carbon monoxide, driving a car, mass producing things in a factory. Secondary pollutants must mix with other chemicals in order to create that secondary pollution, aka air pollution. Here's an example of mass production, how it puts pollutants into the air. All right, the Clean Air Act legislation, that pretty much is when the lawmakers realized, oh my goodness, the stuff that we're putting into the air from driving all these cars, making all this industrial, these industrial products that are mass manufactured and mass produced, they are polluting our air, which is harming our crops, harming our humans, and harming just the environment, period. We need to make some laws to control these things. That's what the Clean Air Acts are for. 6 pollutants we're going to talk about: carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, tropospheric ozone, particulate matter, and lead. Here's just a diagram that shows where those things come from. Kind of get a realistic view of where all these chemicals come from, things that we do in order to produce these chemicals into the atmosphere. I'm not going to go into all these different chemicals. You can look at it. That's why it's a video. You can pause it and take any kind of notes that you need. Here's the next. At the very top, O3 is the tropospheric ozone. The PB is the lead. Again, pause it whenever you need to. It's a diagram talking about those 6 pollutants and how much they are in the atmosphere. Volatile organic compounds, VOCs, those are regulated by the government. Again, the government realizing that these things are harmful for us, so we need to try to control how we're producing them. In more developed countries like the United States, these things can be regulated easier. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but better than like developing countries like Beijing and other kind of third world type countries that are not as established as we are. All right, here are some of the products that have those VOCs in them. Toxic air pollutants, pretty much chemicals known to cause health issues. Industrial smog, that cloudy, foggy, bad to breathe in, thick haze that hangs over cities and areas that produce things has a lot of mass production and industrial action. That's where you have industrial smog. Here's an example, a picture. I'm going to show one more picture right here, and there's one more right there. Urban air pollution, talking about pretty much smog that happens over a city. I think the top 3 cities that have air pollution are Beijing, Mexico City, and LA. Alright, it's pretty simple about the effects of air pollution. If things are in the air, they can irritate your eyes, your lungs, your throat. Different health effects, of air pollution. A lot of times when children play outside, whether they're playing soccer, basketball, kickball, just playing around outside, the more time they spend outside in these areas of high air pollution, they affect their bodies. They're more susceptible to asthma, emphysema, eye irritation, things like that. All right, ozone depletion. That's pretty much saying that the ozone layer that covers the Earth, the goal of the ozone layer is to protect the Earth from the sun's UV rays. When we deplete the ozone by putting different types of chemicals in the air, it puts holes in the atmosphere and allows more UV rays to come into the Earth, heats up the Earth. Hence, that's like the process going towards global warming. The CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, those are the things that we put in the air, chemicals, man-made chemicals like aerosols when you spray air freshener or hairspray. Just a diagram of the ozone and it depleting, there being holes in it. All right, this is talking about pretty much acid rain. You know, at the bottom there's a pH scale we talked about in previous units. Talk about how acidic or how basic a solution is. Pretty much when chemicals go into the air pollution mixes with rain, comes down as acid precipitation, and destroys plants, trees, crops, infrastructures, buildings, things like that. All right, indoor air pollutions. When you have places closed up and they're not very well ventilated, like by windows or ceiling fans or nice ventilation systems, you have different issues with health, sick building syndrome, asbestos problems. Excuse me. All right, just a few diagrams. Other air pollution sources, where it comes from, just showing you can pause it again whenever you need to. Just a couple of different ways of how to reduce indoor air pollution. Use low toxicity products, provide good ventilation, limit exposure to some harmful things, plastics, treated woods with different types of pesticides, or chemicals like for weather proofing. Here's a little quiz to see how much you learn, kind of test yourself. I'm not going to read these questions. I'm just going to go through them so that way you can kind of pause it whenever you need to or to see the question and see how well you do with the answer. Again, pause it whenever you need to. And thank you very much.